ready. Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good.
Welcome to another episode of the Sustainability Squad. I remain your host, Paradise, and with me is Vera, my co-host, and we have a special guest in the house today. And very soon you'll be hearing from Melva, who will be telling us about herself, the work she does, and we'll be answering a few questions that we may have as it has to do with CSOs, relationship with CSOs and the government in Nigeria, focusing in Ebonyi State where she is currently working. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, to just start, Melva, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Okay, my name is Nkechinyere Melva Uguru, and I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer, and but also I'm very passionate about social justice and women and girls disability inclusion. So I run the NGO that is called Catch Them Young Initiative, but also I also practice law. I'm into full practice as well, and currently we run our projects in conflict-prone communities. Most of them post-conflict, though, but it's incessant. It comes and goes. Today there is conflict, tomorrow there is not. And we've been working there since 2019.
Wow. Wow. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
2019. And it's interesting how you're able to manage all the workload of founding and running an NGO and going into these communities and also practicing law full time. It's just, I mean, how do you do it? How are you able to balance the both of
You
them?
know, I think
Please go ahead.
okay, so I think that when it comes to balancing a thing, it becomes easy if one is also passionate about what they do. I'm
Mm.
both passionate about law and passionate about this one. If anything, the passion is like my life depends on it. Like that's what fuels my purpose, and also I don't see it as and then also conditioning, you
Mm.
know. I don't see it as stress. I don't see it as work. I love adventure and I see it as an adventure, but also a very necessary one that must be taken. So, and I haven't been doing all of this alone myself. I have a team and we leverage partnerships a lot. We
Oh,
try to, because in these communities, there are already existing structures that you can leverage. You don't necessarily have to, in fact, your work will not even be sustainable if you tried to do it
in
alone and
isolation.
not leverage those structures that already exist. Even if they are broken, you can find something. It's about finding an overlapping interest and
Mm.
something to hook your work on. And that's what we've been able to do in those communities. So it has helped.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. And just before we go deeper into learning what you do, and before you take us into these communities, we would like to eventually see what is happening, engage with these communities through your own lenses. But before we get there, I just talking about relationship with CSOs, NGOs, community organizations, with the government. I just want to know how supportive has the government been towards your initiative and especially when you work with conflict-prone communities, one would think that this is an area that would interest the government or the government will be paying attention to, considering how volatile such areas can be. I just want to know how supportive has the government been has the government been to your initiative since it started?
Okay, so initially, truth be told, when I started, I told myself that the bottleneck bureaucracies in the government is a no-no for me. But
Mm.
you cannot really escape working with government. So far, I've worked with the government to the extent of access. So because I work in the education space, include driving inclusive education, ensuring that girls go to school, mentorship, and all of those things. Depending on who is in, it's also about access. So I have been able to work with the Ministry of Education in terms of access. So when we're visiting schools in these communities, they give us a letter that when we get, especially government schools, when we get there, we're able to assess with that letter. So the people, the administration of the school will know that this is coming from the Ministry of Education, and these persons are trusted and are allowed to come in. But except for that, in fact, let me use an example of when we built our second library. When we built our second library, we were looking for a safe place, because it's easy to want, of course, it's a need. It's a need that we assessed and found that this is a need, especially across these conflict zones where lots of properties have been destroyed, some of which are schools. So these persons, or in already poor area, the war itself, the conflict exacerbated the war. Now, also the poverty, now making access, limiting access to educational resources and all of those things. We went on advocacy campaigns to several offices, even started our Literacy Solutions podcast, to create awareness of what is lacking and call the attention of government and all. We went to several ministries, myself and Ebere. We went to Subeb and to see if there would be books available that would be given to us, because we had heard that in the store, in that place, there are lots of books that end up being eaten up by rats. There are lots of chairs, but we didn't get anything. We tried to even have a meeting subsequently, and it never happened, but work had to go on, so we sourced for funding outside of government and were able to build the library, and still went back and to seek for them to maybe donate some of their books, not buy new books, but at least government has books from time to time. We didn't get any. The Ministry of Education, though, sent someone to come and commission the library, which was surprising. They came, commissioned the library, but that also speaks to access. We wouldn't say, oh, because you people refuse to give us books, don't come. Their presence will authenticate the work that we're doing. It didn't suffice. It's not enough. They can do more and should do more. But that too was a welcomed development. I believe that there's always one step to be taken, even if it's 1,000 steps. That is the goal. Yes.
Wow. I mean, a lot of questions has also come up from your responses, because call me petty, but if you're not going to support that project in any way, I am not going to have you commission my project. Maybe I'm petty. Like, I just think maybe I'm really petty. But if I've come to you for help, and I know for a fact, the books you talked about, I know for a fact that they are there.
They are there.
Because I work in education as well. And I've also seen some of those books written Federal Republic of Nigeria, not for sale, being sold in our market. I saw that myself in Abakaliki market before I left. So I know for a fact that those books are there. And even
the books are there, it appears as if they are being sold. Why?
That is what I'm telling you. I've walked into the market, formal meat market, Gunning Road market, before it was international market. And I saw a book with Federal Republic of Nigeria, not for sale, and it was for sale. It was actually for sale. So
the reason why we allowed it is, we're dealing with, you also sometimes have to come down to the level of the people you're working with. So in these communities that I've worked in, I often say that prior to me coming back to Ebonyi, if someone ever said anything of just quarter of what I've seen in the not so far rural Ebonyi, if someone ever mentioned it, I would say they hate my people. I'll literally fight you, you know. But then I'm seeing these unbelievable things, and they are not even out there. You can't go online and Google it and see it.
Yeah.
Some of the things when we get into the field, we actually have to interview these people for them to tell their stories themselves. We use visuals, videos, and put it out there, because if you told it, it will seem like you're lying.
Yeah.
You know. Now, the reason that when you go into the community, all they know is government. Not because the government is working for them, but because it's as if, you know, all they know is politics. Let me use the word politics. All they know is politics. We are supposed to be voting for this person. So they hear government a lot because of politics. The road is bad. There's no dilapidated schools. Some of them have been repaired, some of them not. Not a single one of these schools have libraries, not one.
Public
and these students come to
in
school.
Ebonyi State don't have libraries.
Yes, they don't have libraries. They don't have in fact, you know, there's no free education anymore. So these students, and the amounts they call for them, the average person in those
primary or
communities
secondary, in primary or secondary school?
Secondary schools. Yeah. There is no free education in secondary schools anymore. And there used to be at some point, I think far away time. And now these people, when you come, if they don't see any of those people that they believe will help their life, even if it's their ward counselor, they are not listening to you.
Yeah.
So we tend to compromise, to draw a compromise. Now that compromise is the access.
I agree with you though. Like, the grown and adult part of my brain understand why what happened. But the baby girl in me that refused to grow up is really struggling to align with my adult self. And I'm just being I'm being very honest with you. I probably would have, but it would have taken me some time to speak with my maker to come to that agreement, because
it did take me some time to speak with my maker.
Exactly.
It did take a lot of advice, a lot of Melva.
Well, I believe you did the right thing. But I'm just a little bit curious about the library, because we had a similar setup in my organization, but security concern was an issue for us. And also how the library will be used. Like, how are you able to like the libraries in these communities, how do the community members access it? How secure is it? Like, I just have a lot of questions from my own personal experience where people like broke in and, you know,
started away with things.
Exactly. And being that the books we stock up for the children in the communities we work with were all donated by organizations mostly outside Nigeria. And there are no books you can readily find. Like, and there are also no books we want to lose, because anyone you lose, you may never get back.
Never get it back.
And that also takes a book off the shelf for children that need it. How do you ensure the security of these books, and how do they access it? How often do they access it? How do they use the library in these communities?
Okay, so I would use one of the communities as example, which is what we've replicated in other two places. So the first place we built, it wasn't really a structure, a permanent structure that we fixed in the first place. What we did was we found each community have what they call a dupu, like where people, like a
village square.
Village square, they have a village square. So we would go to the village square, and the communities, some communities would literally build sometimes a mud house, sometimes a thatch, and we will stay there. Then children will come to read. We will come with Ghana Must Goes of books. They will come there to read. And we had that every Saturday. So they would come to read. We'll take the liberty to teach them mathematics, English, different subjects. When they come, they'll ask questions. We'll conduct mentorship programs. Just a lot of academic activities and personal development activities and all. Then we now noticed that there's a lot of theft going on within the community. We met with the community chiefs. Now, for us to be able to set up a structure, we need to know that we're in partnership and we are on the same ground, standing in the same place with the community itself, because they are the structure that will sustain whatever we fix there. So the community leaders themselves expressed fear. If the owners have expressed fear, how can you put it there? So we left that to be a mobile library. And then we went to the next place, and what we did was someone's shop. So we got a carpenter to build something in the owner of the, more like a kiosk, will I call it a kiosk, something small, but it has a lock, and it's in a compound that is generally accessed by people. Very close to the village square. So we just used a carpenter to build shelves, kept some books there. They come and read. When they don't come to read, the owner of the shop will inform us that nobody came this week. We will go and do advocacy. And we will go to the schools or talk to the principals, talk to the community leader, more like reawakening their interest in why the book is there and that it's there for them. And the second place, we found we had wanted to use the government structure, which is the, first it was the community structure, but we understood that using the community structure where the community would have given us a space is a very, was in current conflict. So it wasn't a place we could trust to keep anything that it would not be burnt down. So we went to schools, public schools, and the bottleneck bureaucracy. What is in on it for us? So how can you introduce us to your partners? So how can this happen? Things like that, personal interest.
It's always about what you're bringing.
Yes, kicked in. And, we were even asked that we will be paying rent to situate the library in the school. Then the community's owned school that was burnt down, we were willing to repair a part of it, since they said that place is now, they've called it truce, or it's now peaceful. So we decided to use that place. But soon, a group of persons that owned, those low-cost private schools within the community, now felt that if this library is situated in this place, it might be bad market for them. Because the fact that those schools remain dilapidated means that their school business is going on. Because theirs become the only schools in the community. These schools are, when we say low cost, it just means chinge schools. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are not expensive, because they are. When you tell a village woman that has not really been able to even take their child, buy their child Panadol, some of these children cannot pay for the 250 naira result booklets. And you want them to pay school fees of 14,000, 20,000 in these private schools in the communities.
And who are the teachers that they employ there? All those girls that just wrote WAEC.
In fact, they employ girls that just wrote, girls that just wrote WAEC have a certificate.
They are not trained.
But they employ people that were not able to register for WAEC.
So what exactly are they teaching?
Money to register for WAEC. So the school absorbs them. So you would see someone who is not, I and AB met the English teacher of one of the schools, couldn't speak English. They use the native dialect to teach them English. And these are kids who are expected to write WAEC, NECO, and junior WAEC, and all of these exams with schools like Loyola Jesuit. So in order not to veer off from the main focus, we then had to go to the community leaders. Really wanted to help, but then these other people had the higher power because they also had access to the political class.
Now, I also don't know if it's something you're comfortable with, but which community is this?
I think for their security.
I do, yeah, okay, yes. I understand that. I was just
maybe
like
off
really
camera we
curious,
can talk about that.
Because this also brings about the question of effective community development and engagement. this is happening because the community is yet to understand that whoever that owns that school is the enemy of the community or is an enemy of that community. And there is no reason they should indulge them.
I know that. So the thing is, you know, when a people are impoverished, that's why sometimes the leadership, the political class, they tend to perpetuate structures that ensure the continuity
keep people down.
Yes, because when a community is impoverished, they tend to, you know, when you're begging someone to feed you, you will do anything to remain in the good book of that person. So I could see when I held a meeting with the community leaders, the village councillors, I went to the Eze, and I went to several of them, the chiefs. We held a meeting. And what I was hearing was fear. Because there is no longer that autonomy that our communities had, especially since the Ezes began being appointed by the government.
Hold up. So the Ezes in Ebonyi State have been appointed.
Are now appointed by the government. I think it started with the last administration.
Yeah, I think now they have
and then they would give them cars. They would promise to build for them. And if you ever went against the government in any way, you would be suspended, just like they suspend their commissioners and all of those. So now you need to understand that structure to understand why what's going on is going on. So we, the CSOs, the ones who truly want to do the work becomes harder. So you have to build resilience. So if you're resilient enough, you have to keep pushing through. If this strategy doesn't work, well, for us, strategies are born every day. So if this strategy is not working, it bets a new strategy that must work. And we keep betting new strategies that must work. So when I saw that these community leaders really wanted this library, in fact, one of them kept saying, please, our daughter, don't take this anywhere else. You've seen one of them even shared how he, after paying school fees, he will go and buy books. They will still tell him that he should pay for the daughter's result as if the result is not the daughter's school. Yes, they have to pay for either result sheets or booklets. And all this money we're mentioning might seem like something small for other people, but I know how some of these people are not even able to feed themselves. I know how some of them are their own breadwinners. I know I've met a lot of these young girls that are the ones fending for themselves, training themselves in school, and then when it becomes difficult, they drop out. And of course, no role models. You know, they drop out, they can't push anymore. When you're looking around you and there's nobody else pushing, you push, you stop halfway, you know. So what we then did was we found a private school we could partner with. Now, recall that we do not like what these private schools are doing, but something has to be done. And that's where the compromise lies. We found a private school that we entered an agreement with. Because now, any day you decide to go against our agreement, I will bring it to your face. I will let you know this was what we agreed on. And if we go to court, I will not be paying, you'll be the one paying, you know. So, and we worked with them and they were quite graceful. They did not just give us a space. They repaired the space, fixed it themselves. And all we then had to do was to come and build shelves. And in fact, the owner of the private school then donated a computer. Then we entered an agreement with the community that it is there as a partnership. You have to bring something to the table. So you bring security to the table. I don't live with them in the community. So I don't know how I would not be able to carry police and pay army to go and stay there. Now, the best people to secure it is themselves. So what we did to help with that security is building, engaging community engagements. We engaged the youths, we engaged focus groups within the community, like the young girls, the young men, the community leaders. We even engaged women leaders, even the political class. We went on advocacy visits. Who did we not visit? we were going, we'll carry wine and go and thank you and tell you I was here for you, you know, things like that. And then we engage we made the community understand that in this engagement, we want persons with disability. It cannot be inclusive library if they are not there.
Yeah.
So we also engaged, and they felt like they belonged because it was the first time anybody was remembering persons with disability in that community. So we worked together, and they all attended the opening. They were part of it. In fact, we told the community to go and get us a carpenter. That is their own duty.
Yeah.
So that we need a carpenter from the community. It's also going to create job. The community leaders came and inspected the place and had a say as to what size of shelf and chairs they wanted. You know, and okay, this computer, can you be, they weren't bringing anything over, you know. It was beautiful to see them suggesting we should buy new computers. They don't know it's expensive, you know. It was beautiful to see them suggesting that. Some of them even brought out, when we talked about the skills project aspect of what we were doing, Ebere was part of it. I think she and Lucy even led that aspect of it. And because we were in partnership with them as well. Yeah. So we saw the community members volunteering, community artisans, volunteering
to teach,
to come and teach skills for free because they were engaged. And okay, so, and it was beautiful to see how engaged, how involved the communities were willing to be. And for the first 1 month that library existed, in fact, one of the things we did was during the opening, we made sure that each, because in a community, there are several villages. So each village head had a role to play, like to speak to the community members. We were more like a bit, we took a step back so that it would be their thing. Yeah. That way they feel like it's their thing. So, and we kept visiting
their thing.
Yes, it is their thing. Because we went, we kept visiting and realized that they set up a vigilante group.
That was really nice.
To man the library. Till date.
That's really nice.
Till date. Yes. So, and there was a time, there was a little news of maybe there's going to be problems. They immediately called me and suggested that they will carry out everything in the library and bring it to town until they are sure there is peace. So you see how they are taking care of it because it's their thing. It's for their children. So we have a system of library management. We work with the staff of the school because it's expensive to engage a different staff from KYI. Yeah. So we work with the staff of the school as the chief librarian. So who mans how it is used? Because it's also on their property. They also have to secure their own school premises.
Yeah.
So when school is on vacation, the library is locked. Okay. That's the downside of the fact that we do not own the place.
But it is good.
But we were able to at least find a strategy that you know, reached a compromise that worked. Yeah. So that's one of the things that we've been able to do to be able to keep such structures. That's what I talked about, leveraging existing structures.
It's so good. Like, I mean, I'll give it to you. I raised that because we tried setting up because we will focus, our focus is usually early childhood education and primary education. So most of our books are for children from 0 to about 14 years old-ish. So we tried it, and then there was the theft incidents, and which everything became mobile. So we had like a book club in Abakaliki, and that is where we keep our things. Everything is safe because it's our own space.
I went there. Yeah.
But for the rural communities, when we go into that community setting, we go with the books. So it's mobile. They have access to it, but it's just, you know, when they are done, we take our books back because we just didn't have. But I think I can borrow 1 or 2 from what you just explained now as well to really situate something in the community. And because in Abakaliki, after the book club is done, the book is there. But if we can have it in a community, people can even afford to access it up to late in the evening and
Yes,
weekends
yes.
as well. So it's really impressive what you're doing and how you sorry, that was me. So it's really impressive with what you're doing. And yeah, I think yeah, one other question here before we also I know you mentioned about working, I know you work in communities like that are prone to conflict. I would really want to like learn or hear more about it. But before we get there, I just have one other question down here, and we'll now be drawing from your law side. Yeah, we'll be drawing from your law side now. So according to the law, now, are CSOs actually meant to be independent of the government? Because I mean, in the last few episodes we've had, we've been talking about CSOs being independent or working in collaboration. But I believe this is all, those were all coming from a place of what we think, how we think should be. Now we want to like know in Nigeria, according to the Nigerian laws, legally, are they meant to like be in bed or work together or be independent?
Okay, so first of all, let me start with the independence, the status of independence of CSOs. You know that registration, that CSE registration we do. You know, when you register your CSO, you register your NGO, you register or association, you register it as incorporated trustee under the incorporated trustee in the Allied and Company and Allied Matters Act.
Yeah.
You register it as such. Now, when you register it, what it becomes is that the organization or company or whatever it is you registered it gains a legal personality. It means it has, you see that freedom of speech that a normal human being has, it does have it. Freedom of association, it does have it. To be independent and be its own person, in fact, is the reason it was registered. So yes, under the law, in fact, your NGO, that's why your NGO can sue and be sued. In fact, if you control your NGO too much, to a point where the NGO does not have a mind of its own again, the board is supposed to kick you out.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to put it in the barest, most non-legal way I can put it and all. And you find that in both the Constitution, some of these things that I've mentioned, you find out. So every CSO is meant to be independent. However, you know how they say where your right stops is where another person's own begins.
Yeah.
So let's not lose sight of the fact that some persons use in the name of CSOs and go against the law. So it is now the prerogative of every state to checkmate what activities is being done in their communities and in their states. Some of which might be against the law. You know, that you registered something. Sometimes our laws even vary. Laws from laws in the north, laws in the south, depending on where. Sometimes laws that have been, entrenched in the by the House of Assembly of one state has not been signed by another state, and all of those things. So depending on what is obtainable in that state, that's why in Ebonyi, I think it's under the Ministry of Women Affairs, as a CSO that is registered in Nigeria, you must also register with them. And while you're registering with them, part of what you provide is your CSE registration, your SCUMO, let them be sure you're not embezzling money. And then you will also present to them, I think, your working documents, because they want to see what are the objectives, what are the goals, and I think it's within their rights to do that, you know. But then, now let me come to whether they should be in bed or not. Let's look at, I don't like going to the chapter 2 of the Constitution, because even after it's a beautiful nonsense, because the beauty of it has no effect in the sense that the Constitution itself made it non-justiciable. It cannot be applied. But if you read that place, you see how beautiful it is for NGOs, CSO, civil society to cohere with government and all. Now, I'm working at the grassroots level. Let me use me as example. Catch on Young Initiative works at grassroots level. Myself and my team, we go to those places. The government sit in their offices and walk through local government chairmen. The local government chairmen themselves also sit in their offices and walk through development centers. And then, I don't know how the hierarchy goes, but then they also walk through councillors, ward councillors, village heads, things like that. Now, there is a tendency for it to be about personal interest across these chains. Now, there's a relationship that the CSOs naturally develop with the communities they work with that our governments may not be able to develop because people don't trust government. And there's an extent we are able to go. For example, yesterday, I went to the Ebuago community in one of the conflict zones. In fact, in a very dire conflicted, the conflict had lasted the conflict there is older than I am. Yes, so sometimes they will say they've called truce, maybe 2-3 years. Oh, sometimes 5 years. I don't know if it has ever gotten to 10 years. It will start again. And then whatever development has happened there, the destructions will start and take them back 20 years back. Now, I went to that place and I didn't just go there to do projects. We have mentees there. We currently have 50 mentees on boot camp starting Wednesday. These mentees were selected across these communities. And when we do that, it's a point to get to hear them. What are the impacts? The impacts we're doing, get to train them. You're raising leaders that will go and raise others in this community. You're trying to create a ripple effect. Then for you to be able to work with them, you have to have a one-on-one interaction with them. That government cannot do. I visit their homes. Yesterday, I went to one of their houses. The family, they live in a mud house that was submerged in water. So I went there, I folded my trousers, entered there, and because they are used to people coming to take pictures, we don't carry picture. We don't pick up phone. We do that when we're doing a project so that we can earn their trust. If they allow us, sometimes we do, so that our story will not look like a lie, Then I went there after I was done. The woman gave me groundnut. She told me some things. I'm hearing things happening. Okay, so recently there was, I think not recently, last year, there was this massive project that was done by one of their representatives at the National Assembly. That's, I had phones, refrigerators, bicycles, machines, hair dryers, sewing machines, loads and loads and loads of things were bought to cushion the effect of the conflict, of the war. Now, I visited about 7 families across the villages in like when I go, it's very far from Abakaliki town. So when I go there, I take the opportunity to visit, and we are not mobile, we're not mobile, we go with keke, and then we also, we then mingle with them, we visit them, find out what's going on. So how are you? And that's where I heard that those things never got to the people it was supposed to get to. And they said it was a constituency project. It never got to them. Yes, was it shared? It was shared. But it was shared across wards. They used political structures to share these things. And after it was shared, the people who truly needed it didn't get anything. And the woman was telling me that that is because her mother knows one of the people who had access to it, that they gave her 10 cups of rice. My God, 10 cups of rice. And so this poverty continues, and you keep wondering, but we are pushing things to these people. Where is it going to? Now, I was told that there's a store where it was packed in the local market, and that those things are being sold. That they are being sold. Now, the government will not hear this. Because even if the government, let me say, even if the governor himself now gets up and say, let me walk around in that community, with all that security following him, everybody is afraid.
And nobody will speak.
Everybody is afraid, you know, they won't be able to be themselves around him, per se. Then, even if he goes inside that their mud house and sits down with them and says, what's your problem? They don't know what is giving those their community leaders power. So as far as they are concerned, after you come, you will go. We will remain with them. Let's be safe first. Now, it's important because of this difference in level of relationships that can be attained. For the CSOs, in fact, the best bet for governments to build a sustainable impact is the CSOs. Government cohesion with CSOs builds a more sustainable impact. So let me give an example. So we go to these communities. We're not funded by governments. We've never received any form of funding from the government. And most of the time, our funding comes from just donations of individuals and all of those things. And then we go to these places. Government has a lot more funding. You know, I hear monies mentioned like trillions, 3 trillion naira, 30 billion naira, 20 million naira. And I'm wondering, with 20 million naira, I would do more impact than you do and give you change. Now, if government works with CSO, it will cut cost of governance because the CSOs already have sustainable structures in these communities. They already have the trust of the people themselves. The people already feel a part of them. Like while we were on the call, a phone call came in. Who called me? Someone from that community. I took the call when network kicked me out and I was like, hello, I'm in a meeting. Say, auntie, I just want to greet you. That's the relationship we formed with them. So if that person has a problem, they can tell me. Yeah. It is easy for me to assess needs in these communities because all I need to do is just go there. Just sit down, peel their cassava with them, and I get all the information I need. You know, so now it becomes easier for government not to be lied to. All those, this well is going to cost us 50 million to build, whereas you use 100,000 to build that well.
Yeah.
If you work with if you work with CSOs, it's like you're working with the locals. So it's very important. In fact, any civil society that wants to grow cannot, you see, the private sector, the civil sector, and the government the public sector needs to build a cohesion for their society in itself to even be called civil.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I think. And this is some of the advocacies that we've actually put out there. But they smile and they listen to you and they say, oh, you're doing so well, keep it up. And that's it. You know, I even remember one of the projects we did, received a bus from one of the government parastatals, and we were told that for that bus to move, we must fill the tank, government bus, we must fill the tank, and we must pay the driver an amount that was mentioned, and that project was not funded. So I did it out of pocket. And after I was done doing it out of pocket, while I was interacting with the driver, he told me that what I just paid him is his 3 months salary.
That he was being owed. So they used you.
No, perhaps, yes. It's possible because I'm sure that it was a scheme that they gave me to pay. You know? So, and that's it. And I don't even want to go to the fact that because government is not really working well with CSOs, well, they are working, you know, sometimes when government does projects, they'll call some CSOs, the type of CSOs that we were talking about. They'll call some CSOs, they'll take pictures. Yes, yeah. They'll take pictures, they'll interview them. They will say, oh, government is working well with CSOs, but you're not seeing any impact. They will do on International Women's Day, they'll do that match they used to do. And then at the end of the day, everybody will go to that our popular government-owned hall and take and share 1,000 naira.
You know that
and they're
match.
doing it like it's normal.
is about the most annoying thing that happens in my state that I know. Is one of the most annoying, like,
yes,
you know that match
and
pass,
tell me,
and
please, how does that match even translate to anything?
Honestly,
there was something that was mismanaged because of government not working together, CSOs. So you know how FIDA is also independent, Federation of Women Lawyers. It's independent, independent body under the women arm of the NBA Forum, and FIDA funds itself. So depending on whatever funding the state chapter receives, it would determine whether they are working or they are not working. But also it depends on who is there as the leader as well. So I got a call a few years back that there was a woman who had been beaten up badly by her husband, and it's something that had continued happening. And then she was bleeding through the ears, through her nose, and she had bloodshot eyes. So the videos and pictures were sent to me, and I was not in the country. I was livid. I was scared. I couldn't do anything from where I was except what I could do through my phones. And then my team at the time had a project they were running. So we divided, we got out some lawyers amongst us and said, please go with FIDA. FIDA sent someone to us. Go with FIDA to this place. Go and see this woman. We went there. They went there, they saw the woman, they sent a video from seeing the woman. And then when I returned, we went to meet the woman. They had taken at the time they went, we had made arrangements and the woman had been removed from the situation. So she moved from the hospital straight to her uncle's house. Not really a house, a small room that used to be a store that was converted just for her to stay with her children. And she moved with her children. Then it had even caused the loss of lives from amongst her children. And that's domestic violence situation. Now, while I was away, I had given her the contact of the government people in charge of such things. And she went there. And by the time she went there, she was told to sit down. She tried to sit on the chair, and the person that was there told her that she was too dirty to sit on the chair because she has children that have blisters all over their body. And that they were born like that. So they had come to receive help, but they told them they were too dirty to sit there. So they went and sat on the staircase of the place. They sat on the staircase and waited. When they had closed, now they came from a far place and they sought transports to come with the hope that they would get help. So they went, they waited, and it was close of work. So the people came out and said, oh, okay, you're still here, and stood with them. Someone should take a picture. They took a picture. And the woman was like, okay, will you, thinking that maybe it's time to talk. She said, oh no, I've heard your story. I'll reach you. You people should come back on Thursday. They left. Now, remember I said they came from a far place. They came back the next Thursday, and they said the woman had traveled. Now, that's what picture was used to formulate a report with which presentations were made in different places to make it seem like there was anything done. By the time I got back and then liaised well with FIDA and some individuals to help, she didn't believe that we were serious. She went back to that situation and got beat so bad that now she has lost her hearing. You know, so things like that. And then the fear, I don't think government will need to learn at some point that the CSO is not the enemy. And some CSOs need to learn that government is not the enemy, that they are both working to achieve the same goals. Because I understand that some CSOs work as though they are antagonizing government. And then government...
I used to be on that spectrum, if you ask me.
And government reacts on the defense. And it's not necessary. It's not necessary at all. You know, and governments then act like, my experience is that they often act like, I'm the one that should be doing this, don't do it. If you do it, you're pointing to like, why are you taking something from my hand?
No,
kind of.
Taking food
because
away from them.
when you do it, you review where they are lacking.
Mhm.
I had a scenario like that with the former commissioner for education, Wankwego or something, Uche or something. I can't remember. I don't think that's his full name, but the former commissioner for education should be whoever that was
During Dave Umahi's time.
whoever that was commissioner for education in 2022, Bob. Mhm. I don't think he does not even, of course, he may not even know my name or my face, let alone the name of my organization. But someone sent you a formal letter just to like, it was just trying to like make our presence known in a community we were working in and like to engage with him, talk about what we do, and just to officially establish that we are here. If anything happens, we are here. This is why we are here. And before he even got to respond to that letter, it took a while. It was our CEO that sent the letter. And his response was a phone call full of threats.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know what to make of it. And obviously,
well, I'm not surprised.
I ignored it. And the funny, you see how much he cares. All his threats, he does not care. In that particular school, children come to school every day and they are meant to pay 15 naira for chalk. You know the chalk that government is meant to produce. Those children pay for the chalk that their teachers write with.
Oh, yes, they do. They make
15.
I think so far, what I know about secondary school is by the time you calculate everything they pay, it's up to 10,000 naira.
This one is primary school. What I know is that 15 naira for chalk. And I know for a fact that the government gives out cartons of chalk to schools.
Yes.
Like, I think on monthly basis.
Yes. Yes.
So why exactly are these children being tasked to pay that? And he does not care. And he would not even want anybody to bring this kind of story up where it points to him as not doing his job. So he wants to scream you out before you even come up. So honestly, when you talked about CSOs that feel like they're on this end and the government is on that end, I'm not going to lie to you. I do not trust the government. Like, I've had this conversation with you, AB. If government says we've done this in this community, until I see their videos could be AI, until I walk into that community and see, I don't believe them. I do not trust them.
True.
Because my not trusting them is due to constant disappointment from them and hearing exactly what is not from them. So I am trying and learning to do this work with the government thing. I work with community. I do what I can with the community and any human being of goodwill that wants something good for the community, the state, the country at large. I can work with. But and another thing that makes it difficult for me, particularly to try to work with the government, is that most times, the moment you step in with them, they want to control everything and they don't want to deliver an effective solution. They want to rub the surface and they will now rub it and my name will be part of rubbing that surface. You will not put my name on such things. And because I don't want to be a party to any shabby rubbish, I rather stay on my own and do what I can with who I can. So I often, when we talk about people being on the other end of wherever the government is, most times I find myself on that end. I understand the importance of working with them. I wholeheartedly want to work with them. But I also have found myself in situations where I don't want to find myself again. Because the moment you step in, you cannot step out. If you've been told by the powers that be, this is it, it has to be it. So it is either you just pull out and let the it die, or you stay and do the it, and then have your name on something that each time you remember it, you check. And I don't want it. So it's not about how can the government make people, be it CSOs, be it concerned citizens, who truly want to make a difference in their communities, to trust them enough to take a walk with them. I am saying it openly. I do not trust the government. The ones I know, I don't trust them. Some of them may be good. Some people in power, of course, they know their own news. And many of them are like really educated. They know the right things to do. But for some reason, things just get warped, along the way. And I just don't want to be caught in the web of now trying to say, that reminds, in fact, I will not, please, Abby, you have a question. Abby, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
Abby,
thank you.
can you allow me address what she said before you ask your question?
Sure.
So
No,
you
I
said
don't even have
something
a
about
question. I wanted to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So I was in the Southeast Regional Conference on Wednesday,
Yeah.
and our deputy speaker was there, Honorable Chinedu Ona, and I was really impressed. Right? He seems like someone that is very reasonable and someone that is really committed to what CSOs are doing in Ebonyi State. From his remarks, and everything that he gave. So there are some promises he made. The reason why I'm saying this is because our conversation is on government interference. I don't know
Yes.
if interference now is the word, right? So although sometimes we have interferences, but now I'm talking collaboration, right? So he mentioned that as he's going back to the house, that he is going to propose that CSOs be involved in lawmaking in Ebonyi State.
That's
So
good.
CSOs are going to sit, and the House of Assembly is going to consult the body of CSOs in Ebonyi State before they make any law that affects people. That's one of the things he said. Another thing he mentioned was, he really rebuked the fact that government intimidates some people. Apparently, there's some people that their lives are currently under threat for some things they said, um, activists and stuff on social media. Yeah, so he rebuked it, and he was trying to say that for him, CSOs are indispensable partners for the government. So, and then another thing he also mentioned, that he said he's going to propose that you pass a bill where the government makes a budget. When they're making annual budget, they make budgets for CSOs. So where they can donate, give funding for some projects. Right? So those are some of the things. And so many things. But these were the three that really stood out
That's
for me
amazing.
personally. Yeah, so and he seemed like he was very committed, because after that, we met him, we discussed with him, and for me, from my, talking with him, he didn't feel like someone that was lying. He really felt like someone that really wanted to do something. I'm just hoping he gets the support he needs, because he's not the only member of the House of Assembly, even though he's the speaker. And whenever, as he was making the comments, whichever one he says, he will tell the chief whip, take notes, chief whip, take notes, right? So he kept saying, and he stayed for that program from morning till evening. He didn't leave that place.
You can see that he's
was
interested.
There. Yeah, he's very interested. He was there even when somebody mentioned that there's one guy, I think in Imo State, that's currently being held by the state government, not Ebonyi, Imo State, currently being held by the state government because of something he said on social media, and he works in the CSO in Imo State. He told the guy that he was going to get involved in the case, investigate it and see how we can get it sorted out.
Wow.
You understand? So, imagine if everybody, at least 50% of the people in government are thinking like this. And this young guy, if he has at least 2 or 3 more people backing him up in Ebonyi State.
Yeah.
Wow. This work is going to be, even if they don't give us money, even if they don't give money, at least the fact that you can go and collect letter, You can go and collect letter from your state government. People can call them and they can give credibility to the work you do, support you and all those things. When you give complaint that this community, that children are being given out to dead men to be married to, the government will not turn a blind eye to it. They will come and help you do something, because everything is not even really money.
Yeah.
Sometimes everything is not money. It's the calling the attention of the government, because sometimes, to be honest, maybe the Ministry of Education is not aware that chalk, that students pay for chalk. And if you bring it to their attention now, their responsibility is to go there and check it.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if things are working like this, we won't even need to be spending money. The only thing we'll now be doing is just helping them, just call their attention to places that their eyes are not going to. Yeah, so I just wanted to just add that. Yeah.
Melva just dropped.
I think what Ebere said, Ebere's response to it was just the perfect, like a perfect example, bringing to life what I've wanted to say. Because so while it's often difficult to trust government, to gain access to some of the places we work,
Yeah.
they fight us. So we have, because if I tell you that it's not that it's rosy, it's easy, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Because sometimes these places we go to, they will, first of all, the first time I visited a particular community without consulting governments, they called their government people. Okay, so I was saying that while it's difficult to trust government, it's also something that is necessary, especially if our work must happen at grassroots level. Because I recall when I went to a community and the first thing that they asked me is, which party do I belong to? Because so earlier on when I started, I was trying to find the word I used, that they are politically conscious, conscious of politics and all. It's not conscious of politics because they are not even that much politically aware. They are mostly party conscious. So the way they saw what I was doing was that I must have some political interest. But in these states, the politicians are the cocks that crew. So the people they see as rich are also politicians. So if you're coming, it's not possible that you're coming. They are used to being given things only to vote. So I was told to go and come back later. So when I left, they then called their leaders, who then got in touch with me. And because the person they called knew me, I was given access. So I was wondering, what if it wasn't someone that knew anybody, that just simply wanted to do good and in this strange place and doesn't know anybody?
Yeah.
So, and it's very important that, because I didn't blame them. I don't blame the community members. They are acting at the level that they know.
Yeah.
And that's why my belief is that if they do better, if I meet them doing better, I meet them doing things the way it should, then they don't have a problem.
Yeah.
The fact that I see them not doing well, not accepting things the way they should, is the problem I'm coming to solve.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. It helps me to persist. It fuels my, resilience, that this is the problem that we're talking about and you must keep on keeping on, so that's it.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's been so good today. I've learned about, like, even new communities I didn't know existed and what is going on. Maybe please, maybe take over. You are muted.
Thank you very much, Barrister Melva. It was really a pleasure to have you join us on the Sustainability Squad podcast. And it's really been an exciting section. It's it's been exciting to say the least, because when I was, preparing for our conversation today, I was thinking it's going to be something very upsetting, just like our last conversation on data was. So I was expecting the same vibe today, but I feel like it's like you just came and you poured ice water on heat,
Yeah.
right? Because there are some things you said that really stood out for me, and I believe it also stand out for anybody who would listen through this particular conversation we had, especially regarding when you mentioned that we can always come up with strategies. If you try this, it doesn't work, you go back
Yeah.
again and try again. And you also mentioned something that is very particular for negotiations, right? You need to find a meeting point with the
Yeah.
communities and the community leaders. There's always something that interests them. There's always something that they want that you can give, to just to get the work done. And yeah, I also like the fact that we talked about how important it is to work with the government, the credibility it gives, the access it gives. And yes, so even though I know when we started the topic, we started it with interferences, I think the right word should be collaboration. Even though we all agree, I'm sure, that we've, had experiences where the government or some persons in government now, because not necessarily the government, but some
Yeah.
persons
Yeah,
in government have
true.
blatantly just refused to help or to make the work, to even
And it's on them,
contribute or to
from
even
those
allow you.
individuals. Mhm. It's on
Exactly,
them.
exactly. Yeah, so we've all agreed that there are people like that in government. And we've also agreed that there are people like, the honorable member of the House
That
of
you
Assembly
saw.
that we speak about, who is committed and wants to really help. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't even think now, thinking about it, that the issue is the government. I think it's just people, it's just people at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
since we know it's people, I'm also thinking that if we can go the extra mile to find our people,
Mm.
to find our people. There's something one man said, I can't remember his name now, during the opening remark at the conference. He said that you need to find your friends. You need to find friends in the development space. He said he kept saying that you need to find friends. And this man has like over 40 years experience in this sector. He
Yeah.
said that for that there are projects he has done for 20 something years and he never received funding from outside of Nigeria,
Mm.
that businesses fund it. Businesses in Nigeria, friends he made deliberately in this country. People
Mm.
in government that I remember, something. Um, um, I don't think I should even mention that now, but you might be in a difficult place, right? As somebody in the development sector, and you don't even have the number of the DPO of your area. You are not in
Yeah,
communication with
true.
anybody in the Ministry of Women Affairs. You don't know, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a rapport. Those of
Yeah.
us
Yeah,
that are introverts, people like
the
Paradise now,
access, yes.
that say she rather be a one-man army. You see, sometimes you might
Not
be
a
in
woman
a
army,
situation.
but not getting entangled with what I am not sure of. Like,
Yeah, but sometimes you might be in a situation where you actually need that phone call, just one
yeah.
phone call, to
Yes, true.
save your team from being harassed unnecessarily.
Yes, true.
You get, so all these things. Yeah. So it's good we build friendships in
Yeah.
government. It's good we build people that can, just because of you, just because it's your name that they heard. I'm also talking to myself. When we do these things, I feel like it's going to make the work a lot easier. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that
Mm.
being said, that's bringing us to the close of today's episode. We want to say thank you very much again to our very special guest. Thank you, my co-host,
It was my pleasure.
Paradise, and thank you, everyone who is going to watch. Please don't forget to comment, like, share. Let us know what you think. If you would want to be a guest on this show, let us know. If you have any topics that you would want us to address in the future, also let us know. And until we come your way again, we are the Sustainability Squad. Bye.